Okay, perfect. So if you were on the Google homepage, I'm just going to move my controls over to the other side, other screen, so it's not interrupting what we're doing. There we go. You can see that on the Chrome browser, which is the Google endorsed browser that they support the most, it's the one that seems to work best with my computer. There are two things called waffles. And the reason they call them waffles is because they kind of look like something yummy that you'd eat for breakfast. It's basically a square that is 3 by 3 dots, so it's like 9 boxes, and they're in 2 different places. So if you see on my screen where my cursor is, there's my little picture that lets me know that I'm signed into my account, and then there's the waffle. It says images and Gmail, and then on the opposite side, all the way to the top left, there's another little waffle that's in color that says apps. You can click on either of these waffles and it will take you to a different page. So for instance, I did the top left waffle and it brought me here. So if I want to go to slides, I click on the yellow rectangle that says slides under it, and it will bring me to my Google Slides. And you can see I have a bunch of things saved in here, my recent presentations, things that I've done. I'm going to go back to Google and I'm going to show you just what it looks like if you go through the other waffle on the top right-hand side. So it's laid out a little differently here, so you might have to scroll down, but you can see after the light gray divider line, it now has all of the different Google apps that I use frequently. So Slides is in the second row all the way to the left. So I could click on that, and again, it's just going to bring me to my Slides homepage. If you can't waffles, if you just go to Google and you type in Google Slides, a link will come to take you to. You'll just want to make sure that you're signed into your Gmail account so you can get slides. And I don't know if that's me echoing or if there's someone else in the background. So if you have background noise, please mute yourself until that is under control. All right, so does anybody need me to go one more time? How do we get to Google Slides from our main Google search page? You can raise your hands in the chat. You can just let me hear your voice. You can give me a thumbs up, whatever you want. You don't need
my page looks different. Is that because I have an older version of, I don't have that purple stuff. I don't have Google in purple like that.
Oh,
I wonder what that is.
On the main page, let me
I don't, it's an older version.
Oh, this part?
I don't have that.
This actually changes every day.
Oh, okay.
A new image up
okay.
To celebrate something. So today it says that it's celebrating Duchin. I don't know who that is. If you click on it, it brings you to an article explaining who that person is and why they are particularly important. I'm guessing this person had something to do with outer space and astronomy of some sort, making some type of scientific advance.
So if I don't get a changed thing, I might have an older version, or
you could just update your Chrome browser. And
okay, update the Chrome browser. Okay.
Give you that. It's not imperative to be able to do that in order to get to the different apps and extent we have within Google Chrome. So does anybody need me to go one more time to show you how to get to Google Slides?
No.
No? Okay, perfect. So we're gonna just look at our Google Slides. When we're on this page, this is the starting page on Google Slides. If you had no presentations, this part under here that says recent presentations would be completely empty. And you would just have the start a new presentation. And you can do that either by clicking on the plus where it says blank, and that will bring you to a completely new presentation that has nothing going on. For some of you, this might look very similar to something when you open a PowerPoint where it just has a template. It tells you to add your title, your subtitle, and you can also see down here that you can add speaker notes. For instance, when I give presentations, there are certain things that I might put in my speaker notes to remind me, make sure you talk about this point. Or on this page, we want to make sure that we are thanking the Port Washington Public Library for being awesome and offering this programming for all of its patrons. So it's a good way to do that because when you are in your presentation view, nobody else is going to see those notes except for you. So it's a good feature to be able to use. We can see over on the left side, because this is a brand new presentation, there's only one slide. Right now, we haven't put any customized information in. We haven't added a title. So it's just blank. So if somebody were to see this right now, it would literally just be a blank one screen presentation. And then over on the right side, there are themes. And you can choose something where you could change it up. So right now, it's a simple light presentation, which means it's just a white background with nothing on it. If we wanted to go to simple dark, we can click on that. And now you see over on the left-hand side, it's now a black box because we've changed the color in the backgrounds. We still haven't added anything, so we can just say Google Slides. And when we click on that, we have just a title in there. Basics. That would be fine. So you can see as it updates on here when I type, it also updates over here to show me what slides I have in my presentation. And I can click through, and even if I change my theme, after I've typed some things in, it changes it on my themes on the other side too. So that's just a basic if we wanted to start from scratch, a blank document. Now, the way to save it, you would change the name. So up here, you see your little slides home. And then over here, it says Untitled Presentation. And when you hover over it, it gives you an option to rename it. Was that a question?
One second.
I think somebody's just having a conversation. So if I click to rename it, it's going to automatically fill in what I put in that title box. So it just renamed it without me typing anything, Google Slides. And if I click over here, you can see it now says Google Slides, and it said in my drive. So Google Slides, like some of the other Google applications, will automatically save it to your Google Drive, which is a cloud-based solution. So you don't need to have any memory on your computer. You don't have to work on the library's computer if you're working there. It will be saved in your Gmail account in your Drive. So for those of you that don't really know how to get to your Drive, I'll show you how to do that in a moment, but this is being saved. So you can move it to places by hitting this little envelope with the arrow, and you can check to see your document status in the cloud. So this particular one, if you see the cloud here that I'm circling with my cursor, there's a little check mark. That means that it is uploaded in the cloud, and if I were to now be at your house on your computer, I could log into my Gmail account, go into my Drive, and find this Google Slides presentation there because it is saved in the cloud. And you can see here that my last edit was 2 minutes ago. That means that it was saved. As long as there's a little checkbox in here, it means that it is saved from the current version that I have here based on when my last edit was. If this is a presentation that I'm going to be working on over and over again, then I might want to click on this little star and make it a favorite. That means that when I go to search for it later, it's going to come up in its own section called starred. And make it easier for me to find. This is just a practice one, so I'm going to unstart for now, but I'll show you that in a second. I'm going to go into the presentation that I started to do this. So I'm not going to do it from the presentation mode. We'll go through presentation mode when we get through that in the agenda, but I want you to see the different features and how I did it when I was building this out for you. So on here, I actually picked one of the themes that was just visually appealing to me. I like the different colors. I put in the logo for Google Slides Basics, and I'll show you how to do that. So you can just see that the first page, just like I typed in the words before, I was able to put in words, I was able to put in a picture, and this is just my title page to tell you what the presentation is about. And we'll add all of these things again, step by step going through it together, but this is just the beginning. So tonight, the topics that we're going to talk about are how to create or import files. So how do we make it from scratch? How we bring things from other places? And really, how do we just make a presentation that we want to present to other people? The next thing that we'll talk about is adding content to your presentation. So what wording are you going to use? How are you going to make it look concise and still get your viewpoint across? And then we will also talk about sharing and collaborating on files. So if you're working in a group or you want to send it to someone for their opinion, you can do that. And there's a way to comment and help each other. Then we're also going to talk about printing and downloading the files, and then how to access your calendar, notes, and tasks. So on occasion, you might want to have your presentation get on someone's calendar. So if I wanted to add some more classes to the calendar of Port Washington Public Library, maybe what I would do is embed the presentation that I'd like to have them, support for the patrons, and I can embed it on their calendar for them to approve and then add to their own calendar. Or it could just be patrons are able to access it through the calendar, depending on the functionality that the website would have. You can also add in notes. So if you wanted to put a note in, like a checklist of things to do in your presentation, you can embed it right into your presentation so you can go back and forth and make sure that you've done all of the things that need to be done. And then there are also tasks, which would be a to-do list that you can just be able to access right from inside Google Slides and other Google apps to let you make sure that you are finishing everything that you need to do. And then the last thing that we'll talk about is presenting a presentation. So I do see that I have a group chat notice. It says, can I download once created and saved to my desktop? Yes, you can. Absolutely. When we get to printing and downloading files in section 4, I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to try to go in order tonight because on occasion I answer questions too early, and then when I get back to it later, I sometimes forget to do it for everybody. And if people come in late, they might miss it. But yes, you absolutely can save it to your desktop, and I will work through how we do that. So moving on to the agenda, and if you have questions, please write them in the chat or verbalize them. I will try to bounce back and forth and work through everything. So on here, we have our agenda. So the first section that we're gonna work on is creating a new file. So I kind of showed you how to do that before and how to access it. So what we will do is I'll just go through that one more time. We'll go to our new tab. We'll go to our waffle. On the right-hand side, I'm going to scroll down to my slides, which is right here. It's the yellow rectangle with the white box in it. I'm going to click on that. It's going to bring me to a presentation. So I already showed you how to start from a blank one, but now I think it might be interesting to start from a template. So we have a few different options here, but maybe you're not doing something that's a big idea or a photo album or for a wedding or a portfolio or a lookbook. Maybe we want to see the full template gallery. So you can see here that if you're on the start a new presentation box, which is slightly grayed out, if you go all the way to the right over this section, it says template gallery, and there's an up and down button. If you click on the words template gallery, it will bring up, it'll expand the section actually to show you all of the different types of templates that they have. There are personal ones for general presentations, photo albums, etc. Then we have recipe books, party invites, yearbooks. Then you might want to do a work one. So now these are more business aimed presentation templates that you can use. There are also ones for education. So if you're a teacher, you're trying to develop a class to teach, you could use some of these. So because we are doing an educational presentation tonight, I'm gonna just choose one of these that we have here. So let's say we're going to do, let's do a lesson plan. That just seems like it would be visually interesting to try to put in. So I'm going to click on the template that I want, and it's going to load this basic template. So it's telling me I can put in whatever lesson that it is. So if I'm going to make this Google Slides, I just highlight the part that I don't want and I type in the text that I do want. And now I can write in or change up the date. So today's date is July 20th, 2020. And now that information is updated. If I don't like this blue, I can come over here to my themes and I can choose something else that I like better. Maybe I want this green one. And when I click on that green one, you can see that it changed over on the left-hand side, visually what these other slides are going to look like. They're going to follow a similar pattern, but it's going to use a color scheme that was basically predetermined by this momentum theme that I selected. If I don't like that one, I can check a different one. Maybe I want the beach day theme. This happens to be one of my favorite colors. You can see my fingernails, they match. So maybe that's the one that I want. It's completely customizable to what you want. If you liked how this theme looked, but you didn't like the color, we can also change that. And it's easy enough. But if you see down here on the themes, you can also click on import theme and change up something else. So if you have another presentation that you've built that you really like how it looks, or you have a standard that you use for all of your presentations, you could upload it right into your Google Slides and then be able to use that. So I'm going to get out of this for now because we don't need to go through that. But I just wanted to show you how you can select a template to work from as opposed to starting from scratch or blank like I did the first time around. So I'm going to go back to my Google Slides Basics agenda. So we talked about how to create a new file. Does anybody need to see that one more time? You can either speak or type, whatever you prefer. If not, we'll move on to importing and converting an existing file. Okay. If nobody else has anything to say, I'm just going to respond to a comment in the chat. Okay, so we're going to move on to importing and converting existing files. So if, for instance, I had a presentation in my Drive that I wanted to make into one of my Google Slides presentations, maybe it was done in Microsoft PowerPoint, and now I want it in Google Slides because I want it to be cloud-based and I want to be able to access it through my Gmail, we can do that. So what I would do is I would go to my waffle where it says Google Apps, and I would go to my Drive, which is this triangle that is blue, yellow, and green, and click on that. And this is my personal Google Drive, so you're seeing potentially some personal things, so I apologize. But you can see my slides, these are the things that I've used most recently, so that's what is up there in the recent file folder. You can see that there are some other things down here. I could select anything. I'm trying to see if I have Microsoft PowerPoint in here. Okay, so I don't have a PowerPoint saved in this account right now, but if I wanted to open something else, I can also go into my files. So I keep my files on my computer down here on the bottom of my screen pinned. But if you don't know how to get to your files, it depends whether you have a Mac or a PC. You can always go to your search, access your files wherever you need to. I'm just going to go into one of my files that I know has a PowerPoint in it and find a PowerPoint to open. should be one in here somewhere. There. All right, so the content in here is not something that we necessarily need to pay attention to, but I just want to show how we can take a PowerPoint presentation that we have and put it into our drive. So I found a PowerPoint that is a Microsoft product, and I want to put it into Google Slides. So I'm going to take it from my folder, and I'm just going to drag it into where my Google Slide, like in my Google Drive. You can see it just highlighted a little bit of a blue area. I don't want to necessarily put it in a folder, but I do want to copy it here, so I want the whole big box to be blue. So you can see now it says uploading one item. It said 1 minute left, finish uploading. So now you can see that it says for JSBC networking spring 2018 PPTX. That means that it's a PowerPoint saved project. Now, if this box for some reason disappeared, there's nothing to worry about. It's going to be saved down here. You sometimes have to hit the refresh button for things that have just been added. So I'm just refreshing so we know that it's going to show up. It did come up in my quick access, which are the things that I just started working with. And then it'll also come up down here. This was for JSBC networking. So now I have this open. I have it in my drive, it's saved, which means that it's in the cloud. So if I go back to my Google Slides and I want to open something and convert it, you can see that it's not in here yet because it is still saved as a PowerPoint file. I want to get it open in Slides. So if we want to do that, I'm going to pull up the exact instructions so we can walk through step by step. It says, if you have existing files, you can import and convert them to doc sheets or slides. You go to your drive, you click the plus and the new file upload, which I dropped it. So I dragged it and dropped it, but you could also do the plus and add it. So this is the plus that you would do. You could click it there, and then you would do a file upload. And then you can find the one that you were looking for, which I did that before, so I'm just going to type it. It was just there. Oops, it went into the wrong. Make sure when you're doing that, you click it from the right place, because I just didn't. So I want to select the same one that I did before. So that was this one. So if I double click on that, it's going to upload again and it's going to show up. And now it is in here. So it's because it's the same exact presentation, it's asking me if I want to have two versions of it or if I want to keep it as a separate file. I really don't. So I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to get rid of this. I just know that there are two versions in here that are exactly the same. Okay, so somebody asked, what is the advantage to bring PowerPoint to Google Drive? So PowerPoint is a great product if you have access to the Microsoft suite. Some people don't pay for that, so they want to find a solution that is free that can help them make presentations. So the reason that you would take potentially a PowerPoint presentation, maybe you did it at work, but you don't have Microsoft on your home computer. Maybe you want to make some edits and you're not able to do that on your own computer. You would be able to bring it into Google Slides, make any edits, and then you can save it back as a PowerPoint and use it at work if you needed to. But it prevents you from having to purchase your own individual license for something when you don't have that access on your home computer. Or if you are just a Google person that likes to be in a single cloud as opposed to being in Microsoft OneDrive as opposed to Google Drive, you could have everything stored in one place and connected to your email account so you can get it from that singular source every time that you need. It's never
I did use Keynote because I have a Mac, made a presentation, and then sent it to someone and converted it to PowerPoint so she could use it because she doesn't have a Mac. She sent it back to me and it ended up in my Google Drive. And then, so we were able to work together even though she has Windows and I have Mac, and we don't have, the Macs don't have the PowerPoint. They have Keynote.
Okay.
But using Google Drive, we were able to work together.
Yes, it is a collaborative system in Google, and it doesn't matter what type of computer that you have, whether it's an Apple or a PC, Google will allow you to go back and forth and make changes no matter what system you have. And my phone keeps pulling up Hello Google when we're talking and trying to be a good assistant, but I don't really need its help right now. I use a lot of Google things. I have Google everywhere, my laptop, my computers, I have a Google Home. Sometimes I'll be talking and my kitchen will respond to me. So I am a fan of Google, and I think that it's very helpful. And it does allow people to collaborate cross-platform. So thank you very much. I think that was Patty that was speaking. Peggy, sorry, thank you. I have to move my chat box so I can actually see your names.
Also, I lost my PowerPoint ability. I used to have it for Mac, and then I uploaded a new operating system on my Mac and lost my hardware, my software. I lost it. So then I still have it on an old laptop. I have PowerPoints on an old laptop. Now I could convert them using Google and put them back on my my big computer. Right? That's
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a way to get things from somewhere else to where you need them to be as well. It's a lot easier. Before you had to like save it on a thumb drive or a hard drive and hook that up to your computer and then save it down. But if you didn't have PowerPoint, then there was, compatibility issues. You had to save it as a different type of file extension. Now you can upload anything as it is into Google Drive, and you can open it with a Google product and be able to edit it, send it to anyone, collaborate, and then open it through the cloud, any computer that you need it to. So if something happens to your laptop or your home desktop computer and you weren't able to access things anymore, if it was saved in your drive, you can open it on any other device available.
That's great.
Okay, so I am going to open up this presentation in our Google Slides. It's going to, when I click on it, it's going to bring up this box, and it gives me the title that it is, and it asks me, what do I want to open it with? So if I click on here, it's intuitive. It knows that it's a presentation because it's saved as a .pptx. So it knows that it's something that would be opened and viewed as a presentation. So it says, well, do you want to open it with the Google Slides app? Actually, that is what I want. But maybe I just wanted to view it in Google Drive to see what it said, not really edit it. Maybe I wanted to convert it in the cloud using a third-party app, or maybe I wanted to connect more apps if there was something specifically I was looking for. I don't want to do these other options. I do want to open it with Google Slides. Before I touch that, I just want to show you over here that you are able to do things without physically opening it in Google Slides. You can add a comment to the presentation, like saying, oh, you sent me the wrong version. Can you send me the 2019 instead of the 2018 version? Or you can print it without even opening it. You could also download it. So somebody asked before, can I download it? Yes, even if you haven't even done anything with it. If you want to download this PowerPoint presentation that you just dragged and dropped into your drive, you could download it right now so you have one without any changes. And then there are other actions. You can now share this. So say your friend is on a different type of computer. They have a Mac or they have a PC and you have the opposite. You could share it to them right now. You could also move it. You could add a star. That way it's easily accessible whenever you want it. You could rename it. You could call this, work in progress, or you could try to find something. You could open it in a new window. If somebody sent this to you or it's in here, you don't know what it is, it's not appropriate, you can report abuse. And you could also manage your comment notifications. So if you're sharing this with a bunch of people and people are making comments, you might want to get an email or a message somehow telling you that a change has been made, a comment has been made, and you can turn those on. But for right now, we're just going to open it with Google Slides. So it's thinking, it's telling us with this little yellow box that this is going to be our presentation software. Now, we're up here. We can see that when it came from the PowerPoint format, it kind of messed up the layout a little bit. So you might have to click through and change the size of the font. So you can see it wants us to take a tour, but I'm giving you the tour. But that actually is just showing us, which is kind of important, that it zoomed in on this part up here, telling you that it's saved as a PowerPoint. It says some PowerPoint features can't be displayed in Google Slides and will be dropped if you make changes. That would be why someone might download the original version before they put it into Google Slides, because as this gets saved, it's going to change some of those features. It doesn't mean that it's going to get rid of them permanently, because when you open back up in PowerPoint, some of those features will come back. But if you want to collaborate, it's easier to do it within the Google Slides version of it. So if I had to say change the size of this font to get it all up into this black box up here, I can go and shrink that down and make it fit. So I just have to make this box a little wider to get my networking on one line. And that's it. So it just needs a little bit of tweaking to get it to fit on the slide. But rather than redoing an entire presentation, you can see that it took seconds to fix that formatting. So that would be how we import something into Google Slides that previously was not created in Google Slides. And we can also see that this is a Microsoft PowerPoint format. So if we want to rename this, we can take this out and we can take out the autosaved. We can make this 2020. And it's summer now, so maybe we want to change it to summer. And instead of saving it as a PPT, or this will tell us that it is, but we can now make this a favorite and we can go to File. And then we can make a copy of the entire presentation, or we can save it as a Google Slides. That's what I'm going to do right now. So what I did was I renamed it up here just by clicking in this box. I made it what I wanted it to be. Then I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go down at the bottom of the second section. It's going to say Save as Google Slides. So now it's going to open it in a brand new window. Takes a little bit of time sometimes because it is completely cloud-based. It loaded. Now I have them all over here. All those images came over, everything. I can go through the whole presentation. And now you can see it doesn't have that PPTX extension on the end. So now this is saved as a Google Slides presentation. So now that I know that it's saved, I'm just going to X out of this, and then I'll show you how you find it again. I don't need this one. This was the PowerPoint one. I don't need that one. I'm going to go back to my Google Drive. So when I look in here, I'm just going to hit refresh because I did make some changes. And you can see now I have the one that has the P, that tells me it's a PowerPoint. And then I have the one that has the yellow box with the white box in it. And that is our Google Slides one. Does everybody understand how we went from the PowerPoint to the Google Slides using the import? How we could drag and drop, or how we could just upload using new, and then how we can open it in Google Slides? Anybody need me to go through that again? Have any questions? No? Okay.
I have a question about you said Google Chrome is the best one, right? But what
So
if you use
that's fine
Safari?
for me. If you use Safari, if you're comfortable with that, I would say just type in Google as a search and do Google Slides, and then you can bring it up. I prefer
Okay.
working Chrome because I have a lot of email addresses that are Gmail email addresses. I have a few different types of jobs and 1099s that I consult for, so I have different email addresses for each of those. So if I click on my face here, you can't actually see here, but I have 17 email addresses that are for different things that are all within Gmail. So for me, using Chrome makes it a little more seamless for me to go between the different work accounts that I need. And to be able to access all the documents and the different drives that I have documents and presentations saved in. But you can add multiple accounts and then switch between them when you're in Google Chrome. You don't necessarily have that same capability in a Safari browser, but you can still access all the Google products as long as you have a Gmail address that you can save it with.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions before we move on to the next? Because we're going to be moving into section 2, adding content to your presentation. So we said we can choose a theme and a layout. So I'm going to go back to here. We have our template galleries. We had our new presentation. So I'm just going to go in. Again, when you want to choose a theme, you can choose anything over here. Let's switch it up. We can do a black one with a little bit of color pop. It's really easy. The themes are pretty great. You can do a lot of things with the themes that they have available. And then you can also edit the themes to whatever you want them to be. I think they have about 20 or 25 preloaded. And then you can also import a theme if you had one saved down. A lot of people find themes for things online. You can do a search if there's a specific presentation that you saw online that you really liked how it looked visually. As long as it is not copywritten, you can take that theme and import it using its colors, its fonts, etc. And you would do that through importing themes. If anybody wants me to go through that, I can. That's a little bit more intermediate than it is basic, so I'd like to bypass it, but if anybody has a burning question and wants to see that, I will go through it. So we have seen the themes. So if we are, I'm just going to go to our next section. We're going to add, and again, I told you this is through the G Suite education. So we have our Google Slides open. We can change the look and feel of our presentation and its contents, and the slides automatically saves after every single change or edit that you make. Changing our theme and layout. When you first create a presentation, you can choose a theme to give all your slides the same backgrounds and text styles for a consistent look and feel. So sometimes when you're creating something piece by piece, you might be copying, pasting from an old presentation, information from a memo, whatever it is, and it might not translate into all the same fonts and backgrounds. So using a theme will help to make that more consistent throughout. If you wanted to add a different theme to your presentation, again, you can import a theme. If you want to change the layout, you can click the layout and select an option, or at the bottom, you can click the explore button and choose a suggested layout. So we'll go there and I'll show you how to get to layout. Oops, that's the wrong one. So we have our explore button down here underneath. Remember, we had chosen to use the template for the lesson plans. We can go to here, we can hit explore. And it's going to search my documents and around the web. You can see that there are different layouts. This is auto-created from the information that's already here. So the information that you typed into your presentation on your slide will automatically be changed based on what you select over here. So if you wanted to change it up, you could. If you don't like that, you can just hit the undo button and it'll bring it back to the way that it was previously and then resave it. So we had changed the theme. I went back even farther. If I didn't like this and I wanted to do the layouts before, I could have chosen any of these layouts instead as well. So maybe I like this one better, you know, it has a different graphic sensibility. But I'm just gonna go back to what we were in before. Oops. And instead of going to explore, I'm gonna go back to my themes. I'm gonna choose that other one that I liked, which was over here. You can see when I chose the theme, it changed all of the fonts and the coloring to make it consistent throughout. So if I go back to that, you were here, you can also, these are all of our options that we have. So if we wanted to add things, we could do that. If we want to change our format, if we wanted to add slide, we could also go and apply our layout. So the way that we were able to find layout is you go to slide, which is 6 over from the left. We could add a new slide, we could duplicate a slide, we could delete a slide, we could skip a slide. So if you have a slide in there, but you need to do an abbreviated presentation because you have time constraints and it's not one that's super important, you can choose to skip it. So when you go into presentation mode, it automatically will not show that one. You can also move the slide. If you decided like, oh, I added this in, but I really think it needs to be a little farther up in the presentation or a little later on, you can move it up and down by doing up or down. And then they also tell you what the shortcuts are. So when you are trying to do it quickly, you can do Control and the up key or Control Shift and the up key if you want it to be the first slide. There are a bunch of different options that you can do. This one can't be moved down because it actually is the last slide. You could change your background if you wanted. You could also apply a layout, which was the last thing that we were talking about when we were looking at our agenda. So if I wanted to make this a title one, if I wanted to just make it a section header, the way that this particular theme was designed is that there are different types of images and colors chosen for different sections. So for the title slide, it just had green at the bottom. For a section header, the green is the background with your title for the section in the middle. One that's a title and body, it's gonna be mostly white. It's gonna have a larger part that has text at the top and then a smaller font that is gonna give you, the details for your slide. If you wanted to do a title with 2 columns because you want to compare and contrast something, you could choose that layout. If you wanted only a title because you want to drop in a picture or a video, you could choose a title only. If you want one that has a 1-column text, you would do that. They have a lot of options for you within the layouts. If for some reason you wanted to do something where there was like a big number, you wanted to have a big reveal, like 100% completion of the program, or you got a 99% on this exam and you're really proud of that, you want to show it, you could choose something that's going to allow you to do that. This particular one wasn't necessarily set up for that, but you can choose the different layout options, and it changes around the way that the text is, but it keeps everything you've already populated on the slide that you've created. Does anybody have any questions about how you can choose your theme and your layout? Do I need to demonstrate that one more time? No? Okay. So
You're going to get to adding pictures, right? Photos, you're getting to that?
Yes, we are going to add and edit content right now, actually. Okay. Oops. So add and edit content. So I told you how to rename your presentation, but I'll do that one more time. So if it says Untitled, you would click Untitled. If it has a title already, it generally will populate whatever the first words that you typed into the presentation are in here. So this happens to be a picture. So it would not put Google Slides here as the title. It would put the word basics because that is the word that I typed in. So all I did was after pre-populated basics, I typed in Google Slides. I don't have to hit save. It just automatically does it. Once I'm done typing, it's going to save it that way. So I don't want it to be all crazy. I'm just going to go back to my basics, and I know that it is now saved, even though it says my last edit was 51 minutes ago. I'm just going to show you, I'm just going to add a new slide over here at the end. Now, if I wanted to add content, I just made a new slide. This is a blank slide at the end of my presentation. In order to put in text, sorry, my plug sometimes comes out. Does it look okay now? My screen sometimes, my cord doesn't stay in and it goes low on battery.
You can ignore it.
Okay. All right, so this particular layout, it's just a title and I'm gonna add some text. So for here, I'm gonna say add content. So in order to add content, you just create the type of box that you want. So this is a text box already. Now, if I didn't want this, say I want to get rid of it, I just highlight it. And when I have this little X, like you kind of wiggle over where the box is, when that little T that has the arrows on it comes up, you can just hit the delete on your keyboard, or you can right click and you can do cut or delete, and it will take it right out and you don't have that box anymore. Now, if you did that on accident, you could hit undo, or if you just wanted a clean text box, you can go to your menu bar and you'll see that there's an arrow, which is for select, and then there's a text box. So you can click on the text box and it's gonna make your cursor a little plus. You can drag it to whatever size and shape you want your text box to be, and then it's gonna add this blue box that is able to be resized. You can make it in ratio. You can drag it into a longer rectangle if you know you're gonna have long sentences. You can make it shorter. Say you wanna just put a sentence here and then you wanna add something else under. You can make your text box any size that you want. Now, my suggestion is when you're going to start typing text, to go in and change the font that you want first, so you don't have to go back and keep changing it. So I'm gonna just go to Comforta, just because I think it's a pretty font, and I'm gonna change it up to 16 fonts. And then I'm gonna start typing. I'm gonna write add text box. And that's basically what we did. Now, if I wanted to add a photo, right next to the text box, they have this little grayed out picture with little white mountains in it. That is what tells us we want to insert an image. You can click right here on this little arrow triangle that's down, and you can upload it from your computer. You can search the web. If the picture that you have is already saved in your Drive or connected to your Google Photos, you can do that. If you have a picture on another website on a URL, you can do that. Or if you have a camera in your computer, you can also do that. So I'm just gonna upload, I'm gonna search the web. Now, what you need to be careful with on the web is that you're not choosing images that have copyrights. So you can choose things from Google. Most of them will not come up having a copyright. So here it allows you to search directly from Google Images in here. So if we wanted to just, what do we want a picture of? Somebody give me an answer. Well, I'd like to be on a beach. Is that okay? Can we put in a picture of a beach? Oh, a bird. Thank you, Jerry. I'll type in a bird. Let's see what a bird comes up. I like this yellow one. It kind of matches my theme a little bit. So all I have to do is click it. It gives a little blue circle with a checkbox in it. It tells me down here that one is selected, and then I just hit insert. And now it just put my little picture of my birdie in here, and I can drag it wherever I'd like on my screen. I can resize it and make it however I'd like. I would want to check to see if this is copywritten. Generally, when Google will give it to you as an option directly in their search, they are not copyrighted pictures. But if you're using this for something that you're going to get paid for, you need to do your due diligence to make sure that your images do not have any type of warranties or copyrights on them. One of the websites that I like to use to make sure that I will never have a problem with licensing is Pixabay. So I'm just going to open a new window. And if I wanted to take one from there, I would type in pixabay.com. And this is going to bring me to this site. These are stunning free images that are royalty-free stock. So every image on this website you can use. They don't necessarily want you to be using them for gain and saying that you are the one who took the photos, but if you just need a photo of something for a presentation, you can use these without having to pay royalties or stock fees. So if we wanted to use a bird from here, we did our images. So like these are ones that you can pay for that are sponsored images, but you don't need to. You can skip right down to this section where these are download the best bird pictures and images from our collection. So they have a lot of different ones. I happen to like green. I'm just gonna click this one. It's gonna come up and now it tells me that I can get a free download. Pixabay will ask you if you want to join and have a free account. You can do that and that way it saves the things that you like in an account. But all you have to do is hit free download. With a free account, you can get some of the image sizes. Usually the second highest pixelation is the one that's free. They generally will not give you the biggest one without you being an account holder. So you can still get them, but you just have to not get the biggest one. So I'm just gonna download it. I happen to be a registered user, but I'm not logged in. So I don't have to do CAPTCHA if I'm registered, or I could sign up and it's free. Otherwise, I just click I'm not a robot. Sometimes it brings up one of those pictures and says, click all of the traffic lights, and you have to click all the boxes. This one, it was just a little box. Now I can download it. If I wanted to say thank you to the image author, I could donate. You know, this image was from Dominic Hoffman. If you wanted to put somewhere in your presentation, picture courtesy of Dominic Hoffman from Pixabay, they do appreciate that. You can hit copy. Now that's copied on my clipboard. Now I can go right into my presentation that I was working on, which is over here. It was somewhere. Which one was I working on? Sorry, guys. It was this one. So say I want to get rid of this one. I want to make it a little smaller, put the other bird picture in. Now I can go back here and I can say upload from my computer. And this one is in my downloads. I can see it's in my downloads because it's down here. So I can either go to my downloads folder and I can see that Hummingbird came up. I can double click on that, I can hit open, and now it's going to come up here. Now I can put in a small text box underneath it and paste that it was from that Dominic person at Pixabay. So I know the shortcut on my computer is Control V. Oh, that came up really kind of crazy. I don't know why they did that. I'm gonna go back to where it was. I'm gonna copy this again. I'm gonna go back to my presentation. I'm gonna type that in again right there. And I can make this a smaller font if I want. Just so I put the credit in. It's never a bad idea to give someone credit for their work. You could even put it on top of the picture if you wanted, over here. So that is how you would add an image, how you would add some text. If you now wanted to change the layout of this, you could by going to Explore. You can see that it'll change it. Instead of having a big white box behind it, we can now put our pictures in these little circles. It already made this layout for us. Or maybe we want to have them in side-by-side images that are exactly the same size. Or maybe we want to have them just next to each other. There are a lot of different options that you can do just using the layout. So in PowerPoint, they have something similar. Well, they will give you a suggestion for your layout. Here, it's basically the same thing. They have some pre-populated ones that you can click through. I actually happen to like these little circles. I think that looks nice. But that would be how you could add your pictures. If for some reason you didn't want to use one of these and you wanted to add your own, you could add shapes So say I wanted to put in an oval shape. I could put in an oval. And then I could take a picture and I could try to match it up in there to put it where I want. Okay, I don't really need to do that. I kind of like how this looks. If I wanted to replace the image in here, say I don't like this birdie anymore. If I click on this and I go on the right click, a menu comes up and it will allow me to replace the image. And I could do it either uploading it from my computer, searching the web, looking in my drive, my photos, my URL, or my camera. So say I wanted to, I'm gonna allow it to take a picture. Well, it doesn't want me to use, oh, I'm on my webcam, so I can't take my picture right now. But if I wasn't using my webcam for the Zoom, I would be able to use the camera that's in my laptop to take a picture of me to put it right into my presentation. I do have photos in my actual Google Drive. I don't know what has been uploaded recently, so I don't want to just open pictures in case there are pictures of clients that I don't have, you know, a release to be able to show you. So I'm not going to open that now, but you could, if you have photos saved in your Google Photos attached to your Gmail account, you can upload them directly from there as well. So we did, we renamed our presentation, we added some images, we inserted the images. So I'll show you how to do that as well, as opposed to just going to the little picture here. You can go do it through insert, which is the fourth column over. You can go to insert, image. It allows you to upload from computer, search the web, drive photos, URL, or camera. You could add a text box the same way. If you wanted to add some audio, you could add audio into it. I don't have any audio in here, so I would have to download some to put it in the account. But if you had a track, if you are a musician and you wanted to put something that you played, or if you want to set this particular slide to music, you could do that by adding an audio track. You can also add in a video. If you had something on YouTube that you liked. So say you wanted to demonstrate how you make a recipe. Maybe you took a video of you doing that. You could upload that onto YouTube and do it there. You could save it on your computer, in your Google Drive. I might actually have a video of something in my Google Drive. Okay, so this is not bird related, and I do like the birds, but I was in Italy last year and I went to see glass blowing in Murano. I could put a little video of that right into my presentation. See a little bit.
The elements is 1200 Celsius degrees, which is roughly 2,500 Fahrenheit.
So I'm going to pause it for now. But you can see over here in the format options, it's asked me about my video playback. It says I can start at 0 seconds and end at 1 minute and 15 seconds. If I only wanted a snippet on here that's about 5 seconds long, I could say I want to start at 15 seconds and end at 20 seconds. And then you can also click it to autoplay when you're presenting. So as soon as you get to the slide, the video will start on its own. Or you can leave it so it doesn't autoplay and you're just manually clicking it when you want to get to that part. So if you wanted to talk about what's going on the slide and then say, oh, and here's a video to show what I'm talking about, you could do that later. Or if you want the video first and be able to explain it, you could do that and do the autoplay. If you don't want the sound to come through the video, you just want the visual and you want to speak over the video, you could do that as well by hitting mute the audio. You can also click on the size and rotation if you want to make sure that it's the right aspect ratio. It can lock it by hitting this. If you just want to make it taller or wider, you can do that as well. Position. If you want it to be on the top left, you can like space it wherever you want. You can drop that down. You can make it centered. And then if you wanted to have a drop shadow, you can also do that. Some people like the video to be a little more transparent. Sometimes they like the box around it to be a different color. Whatever it is that you like, you can play with how it's going to look. So you can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, whatever you like, you can position it where you'd like. You can see when I move things around on the screen, these little red lines come up. Those are helpful guides. It helps me figure out where the middle is. So this is the center, and then this is the actual middle of the slide. So if I wanted that completely centered, I would use those red line guides to help me get it there. Now this is a little too big for the layout that I have, so maybe I want to make it a little smaller and put it in between. So we can embed that, and that would be how you add in a video. If you wanted to add in shapes, you could do that. If you wanted to add in a table, you could also do that through insert. So if you wanted to put in a table, you could click over. So say we wanted a table that has 3 by 4. We just drag it over and we make that. Now I can put this table up here. I can shrink it down if I want to make it fit a little bit better. I want to move these down. I can move these down a little. And then if you want to type in here, you can say, see, and I'm just hitting the tab button to go between boxes. Oops. Now, if you're typing and what they populate is not the color that you think is very good, you can get out of your format options over here and you can just highlight the boxes. I think it would be better if it was this color or white, but just to show you how to get to a different text color, if we look over here, we have our fonts, we have our size, we have bold, italic, underline, and then we can change our text color. So you can see in our theme, these are the colors that they have pre-populated for us. So if we wanted it to be that green color, we can click that. If we wanted it to be the same like orangey brown color that add content is in, we could do that. If we wanted it to pop and be white, we could click white. And then when we click out of that, we can see that these are all pretty bright and easy to see. If we don't want them underlined, we don't want them italic, we don't want them bold, we can unclick that, but it's there in our chart and we have a chart embedded right into our slide. So we did videos, shapes, charts, and you just, like I said, you click insert to add each of them, and you can move, delete, resize any of those inserted features. And then we can also add speaker notes. Again, this is a way to keep track of all of your talking points when you present your slides. Those notes will come up in a separate window. So as you can see down here, we have our speaker notes. So if I wanted to do this, I could go to my agenda, and in this section, I could just highlight these things. I can hit Control-C to copy it, and then go back here and put it in my speaker notes and hit Control-V. And now it is reminding me that on this particular slide, I need to teach you how to choose a theme and a layout. I need to teach you how to edit or add and edit content. I need to teach you how to customize your slides, and I need to teach you how to create and arrange your slides. So these are my notes just for me, but it will show on my presentation view when I'm going through the presentation, so I know exactly what is important to tell you as I'm going through it. Does everybody have a pretty good grasp on how to insert different things on a slide when we're adding content? Any questions? Anything I missed that you want to see happen? So now we will go to customizing your slides. Oops. Sorry, my mouse has run away. So depending on what you want to change, you can choose an option. To change the side of your slides, you can click File and Page Setup. So I'll go here. If I go to File, I can go to my Page Setup. which is down in the bottom section. If you don't see it initially, this gray slidey bar will take you down there. So if I click on my page setup, it'll let me know, do I want it widescreen? Do I want it 16:9? Do I have a larger monitor? Do I want it to be 16:10? Do I want it to be standard, which is 4:3, or custom? Whatever it is that I want, I can choose that. Say I want it 10:5:3, I can apply. And now it has resized my slides. We want to do that one more time. We go to File, we scroll down, we click Page Setup. I'm going to just do widescreen 16:10. We'll apply it. And now you can see it changed just very slightly, not too much. It's going to be more of a difference when you are in the presentation mode based on what type of monitor you're showing it on. If you're using it on a projector and you know that that projector is very widescreen, you might want to do 16:10 if it's taller. You might want to do, 20:18, depending on how many feet wide your screen is. If you have a smaller screen that's only like 5 feet tall by 3 feet wide, you can change your slides to fit on the type of screen that's getting projected on, so the wording is not warped, and when you're doing your layout, it still looks nice and you're not wasting space on the projected screen. So if you want to customize your slides, text, images, and more, you can use all of the toolbar options. So now, if we look at this chart here, some options only appear for certain types of content, such as text, images, or slides. So if you want to create a new slide, you would hit plus. So I'll show you how to do that. Right here is how you create a new slide. So if I want a new slide between 3 and 4, I would click it here, and it's going to put a blank slide in between 3 and 4. If now I wanted that after 5, I could click on 5 and I could add it again, and it'll add another slide using the exact same layout as that slide behind it. If I want to undo or redo the last changes or print my slides, I can use the next options on this toolbar. So I didn't really want to add that. I can go back, hit that undo button, and now that extra slide that I added is gone. Oh, whoops, I did that accidentally. I want to bring it back. I can do the redo, and here it is again. Now, if I wanted to print this, I could do it just by hitting the print. And if your computer is hooked up to a printer, it takes a few seconds to find it, and then it'll bring it up. Now, my particular computer is set to default to save it as a PDF because I work in a lot of different places, so I don't always have access to the printer where I am. So what I normally will do is just save a PDF copy on my computer, and then I know when I get to a printer, I can print it very easily, and it's not going to warp the orientation or where the text or the picture boxes are. So it does show you a preview of what you've done in here, and then this is another way that you can save it as a download rather than just printing. You can do that. And yes, I will send you the link to the G Suite Learning Center. It has guides to help you with all of the different Google products. And I suggest if you ever are stuck, G Suite is a great place to go. I use it to help you for basics because I feel like it is, it really gives you all of the help that you would need when you're just learning. And then when you need more intermediate and advanced, then I go a little more into detail. But for the sake of saving as a PDF or choosing a printer, you can see I have some printers here. I could save it directly to my Google Drive if I want to do that instead of my PDF, or I could print it with a printer. I don't really need to save this right now, but I'll just hit it save for the moment. It's going to come up. It lets me choose what I want to save it in. I can choose the folder. I have a lot of stuff here. I would rename it Google Slides. I don't want it to be logo, but I don't want to slides. Press. So I could do that, and I can save it down. And now it is saved in my computer, and I don't have to worry about it only being in the cloud. So in case something happens, or I know that I'm now going to send this for someone else to edit, now I have a hard copy of what mine was before there were changes. Yes, there is a comparable G Suite link for Google Docs. I did email everyone, so if it did not go through, please let me know. I'm sorry about that. It said that everything was delivered, but on occasion, people tell me that they do not get my email. Sometimes it goes to your spam. I will be more diligent in checking with you going forward. But yes, I'm gonna just go in quickly and I'll post that link. So I'm just gonna go back to Learn by Product. Oh, right here. So I went to File Storage, Collaboration, and Docs. I'm gonna go to my slides. This is my Google Slides Training Center. You can see right in G Suite, they have training and help, get started with slides, switching slides from Microsoft PowerPoint, use G Suite keyboard shortcuts. There's a little cheat sheet that you can download and look at. You can enhance your presentations with powerful visuals. And then they have tips that are beginning, intermediate, and advanced. So I'm just gonna copy this and type it into our chat box, everybody. And then for you, Jerry, because you're fabulous and you were a Monday Night Warrior with me last week, I'll quickly go back to that Docs one and post it in here as well before I forget. I'm just gonna type to label that this one is Docs. Yes, they're different. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm just going to go back to where we were with our slides. And we're doing get started with slides. We did add some content. We created a new file. Oops. Okay. So now we were able to do all of these different things. We were talking about customizing. If you want to copy or formatting from any text and apply it to another selection of text, we can do that by doing the paint roller. At least that's what I call it. I think that's what it looks like to me. So the paint roller right now does not allow me to do it on this particular one. But if I went to my agenda and I clicked on a section, because I like how this is hyperlinked, I can copy that. And now if I go to my paint format, I can click on that. And now I can bring it here.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, Mommy. Can I call you in about, I am in the middle of a Zoom, or you want to speak with Dad?
Sorry, we have a nice conversation. Who's talking? I'm just, Madeline will unmute you when you're off your phone. There we go. Okay, so I had my paint format there. Now I can paste with my paste regular or paste without my formatting. The whole point was that I wanted to use my paint roller, so now I'm gonna paste. And now when I type, you can see that it came out with that purple color. So that's how I get it to copy back and forth. Between that was with my paint format. So if I wanted to copy this from this section, again, you just highlight what you want and you can click on the paint format and then go and put that wherever you'd like. Now, if we wanted to zoom in or out, I can just go through this whole thing. So if somebody said, you know, it's not really big enough, let's make it bigger, let's zoom in. We can make that font a lot bigger for the people that are viewing it at home. Last week, I had somebody who was saying that, oh, it's too small, I can't see it. So I was utilizing that picture, that function quite a bit. I don't really need it that big right now, but if you have a lot of text and it's a little tiny, you might want to use that. And you can also choose a predetermined amount. They have fit, which is 79%, that automatically gauges, you know, how big it should be based on the white space needed in your document. Then we also have select an item on your slide with your cursor, which is right here. So say I want to select this one. I just click on it and it allows me to select the title or the header. I want to select here. It's the body text. You can also see that in here, when I copied and pasted this from the G Suite, it brought over the links for me, which is really nice. So all I have to do while I'm editing this is if I hit the control button, which I believe on a Mac, it's that little one that kind of looks like a 4-leaf clover. It has, you know, like a diagonal cross almost. If you hit that and then you click on the link, it will bring you right to that section that is hyperlinked. So we don't necessarily need that right now, but it is a cool feature. You can link things just by having them hyperlinked in your content that you add. And you can remove the link if you wanted. You could copy the link and then paste it into a browser or into the chat, or you could edit the link. But you can see that it kind of gives you a little preview of what that page looks like as well when you hover over it. The next thing that we had here was adding a text box shape, image, or line, which I showed you, which are these features. So you add your text box to your image, you have your drop down to select, you can add your shape, whatever shape you might want, arrows, equations, call outs, etc. Or you could add a line if we wanted to add a scribble. We just want to make a little doodle. We're very artistic. I'm not, but it did add that for me. Now I can resize that. Maybe I love Google. I want to draw a little heart. That's a bad heart, but it's there. Maybe I want to make it a little more pointy. So you can add a lot of interesting things just using these tools in here. Now, if we keep going, we can add or change the color of an area. So this part doesn't have it, but once I click on something that has text or a graphic, it allows me to change the fill color. I could do that. If I want it to be transparent, I could keep it the way it is. If I want to change it to that green color in the back, because I like that, I could do that. That seems a little dark to me, so I'm gonna go back and do something a little lighter. Maybe I'll do this light cyan instead of that darker green. You can see now that has a nice little contrast with the purple. If I don't want that, I can hit the back button and get rid of it, or I could just change it back to transparent. If I wanted to make it a gradient, I could do that. So we see here, I could do that, and now it goes like that ombre effect where it starts out light and gets darker. If I didn't like that color that I chose, I could go with one in my theme that I was already using. I could have it that red color that does the same type of effect. But you could choose, you could do a custom where you are rotating it with the shape. You have a preview. You can, if you don't want it to go that dark, you can change these depending on where it is. Instead of making it radial, maybe you want it linear. Maybe you want the angle to be at 180 degrees where it's going a little bit diagonal. You can see how it's lighter here and darker up at the top corner. So you can play around with the way that you want your background. You can change it back to whatever you want. I'm gonna go with the transparent right now because now I wanna do a border color. So right now on this box, there is no border. If I wanted to define this area by adding a border, I can change it. I like that green, I'm gonna choose the green. When I click off, now I have a green box. It's kind of a thin line. So if I wanna make that thicker, I can go to the border weight column. And now that was 1 point. If I wanted to be, you know, a medium thick box, maybe I want it to be 4 points. So now that's a little bit more defined. I can keep it there. I can make it even thicker if I wanted. I can go to 24 point. That's a nice big thick box. Now my text inside is a little close. So maybe I'd want to stretch it out a little. Maybe I'd want to go in here and put a couple tabs over, so it doesn't look so close. Oops. And you can see every section that I go down, it's giving me what the link is that it's to. So if I'm in my presentation and I want to talk about adding content to my presentation, if I hit control and click on this in there, or I click right on here when it comes up, now it's going to open a new page and take me exactly to where I am in my guide that I'm using. And I can go down, and this is where I was. It was right here in this section. So that's a nice feature to embed. Within PowerPoint, it's not as intuitive as this is. So while they do have the feature, it's not as easy to use, and it doesn't give you that view right while you're editing. If, for instance, I did not want this box to be solid, I could change it to a dotted. Now I have dotted boxes. If I don't like that, I could go with dashes. If I don't like that, I can go to Morse code, dots and dashes. I could go to dashes that are the same size, a little different. They have a few different options that you can choose from. Or you could go back to the solid. You could change the thickness of the line. You can change up the formatting a little. You can, we'll do this again in a second, but maybe I want it to be centered. If I only wanted that one to be centered, I could do that. If I want it all to be centered, I just click in here, I highlight it all, and then I can align it centered. And if I want it to be anchored in the center of the box, I can do middle, but I put this up here. So now it's completely centered within my box. And now when I drag my box, the whole thing is going to stay in the center because I did it that way. When we're not clicked on anything within our physical slide, like nothing is being edited, no text, no pictures, we have a menu that's slightly different. We could change our background to whatever color we want. We could choose an image as our background. We could add it to our theme. If we needed to, we could reset it to our theme if we had made changes. If we don't want to do anything, we can hit done or X. If we want to change our layout, again, we can check what layout that we like. We had a custom one over here. We could choose anything that we want. So that didn't really look the best, but it's easy enough to change. We just drag this down. We can drag our topics of discussion up a little. We can bring this back into our center. And now that is back where we wanted it to be. If we decided we didn't like that layout, we could hit our undo, or we could go back and change a totally different layout. And now it even resized our box based on what this layout was. We could also go in right now and change our theme again. So now instead of having that, green and burnt orange look, now we have navy and white. I'm going to go back because I don't particularly care for the way that that did it, but you could see that it also repositioned the text that was on your slide. So if we go back to this, we went through all of our change color, weight, and style of our borders. We can also change the font and the font size. So when we click on something that has text, you can see that we have more options up here. This is to change our text. So if we highlight all of our text, we can change it to something else that we like. A lot of times in emails, I use Georgia. If you see my signature, that's the font that it is on my emails. You could change the actual font. We can change the point size of it, make it fill up that box you wanted. If we wanted that to be bold, we can highlight it all and make it bold. Might have to make it a little bigger because that stretched it out a little. But now we have our topic of discussion. We can align it centered where it is, and then I can drag it so that red line tells me exactly where it is in the center of my page. Again, we have our bold, italic, underline, color. We could highlight it if we want, if this is something of particular importance. Maybe we want to highlight it in a color. You just highlight it, and then you click on your highlighter. You select your color that you want, and now it is highlighted in that color. if you wanted it. We can get rid of that easily if we want as well. We go down here, now we have our insert links or comments. So if we are clicked here, we could insert our link, topics of discussion. I want to insert a link. I would click that. Now it's telling me to put the link in. So if I want to go to, say, this page where I was, and I want to say this is the page where it tells you how to do it, I could go to Control C, take that, go back here, put it in my thing, and I could hit apply, and now that's linked. Now it changed the formatting of it. So if I now want to go back, I still want this to be a link, but I want it to be the color that it was before without the underline. I could do that, and it's still going to be a link, even though I took out the part that makes people think it's a link. You can see that it's a link because when I click on the box, it's showing me what it would be. Now, if I didn't really want that link in there, I can hit the remove the link, and now it's gone. I don't have to worry about it. If I wanted to add a comment here when nothing is clicked, it lets me just add a comment. You can also do Control Alt and M at the same time. For here, if I'm collaborating with you, which is one of the next few things that we're going to go over, you would see my name, my picture, and I can say add links to screenshots. So now I know if I'm working on this project with you and you're helping me out, I'm going to tell you, okay, I want you to take a screenshot of exactly how to create or import a file. I want you to take a screenshot of adding content to your presentation. So this is my note saying add links to screenshots. This could be for me, this could be for you or anybody else on the team. Now I can comment and it's there. So now if you are in here and doing it, you can link to the comment to show where the screenshots are. So if you have the screenshots, but you haven't had a chance to embed them yet, you could just tell me that. You can link it. If I want to delete this comment, I could. If I want to edit it, I can. So I'm just going to delete the comment thread because I don't need it right now. So if I want to change the text alignment, which I kind of showed you before, say I don't like it centered, I can go over here and instead of align center, I can change it to align left. Maybe I'm doing that because I want to put a picture in here. I'm just going to put in something random. My Google Slides picture. So maybe I want that inside of my box. And now it's aligned in a way that it looks pleasing to the eye. I just need to shrink this down a little and recenter, and we're good with that. If we click on this again, like I said, you can anchor it to the top. You can anchor it to the bottom if you wanted. If it was a paragraph that had, sentences that weren't all the same size, you could justify it. You can also change your line spacing. Right now, this is 1.15 spacing. If I wanted single spacing, I could do that. If I wanted double spacing, I could do that as well. It happens to be only on that one. If I wanted to do them all, I would highlight the whole thing. You can see it goes out of the box at that point because it wasn't formatted at that spacing. I'm going to go back to my 1.15. We have changing the text indentation. So, oops, if I'm over here, I can bullet and change and lots of different things. If I wanted to decrease my indents, if I want to move it over before I tab them all over. So if I remember when it was over here, and I went back and I said it's a little too close to the line. and I tabbed it over. You can also do increase the indentation. So what I would do is I would highlight the whole section, and I would go to this one and it would move it over for me. Now, if this was like a bulleted thing and I had them all, instead of writing section 1, section 2, section 3, if I just had it bulleted 1, 2, 3, and say I had on this one, like I have section 1, 1.1, 1.2, I can play with these to make sure that they are all bulleted the same way with the indentation. So if I now make everything in this box highlighted and I make it left aligned, so like this bullet point 1.2, that isn't exactly where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be over where 1.1 is. I can make them both in the same place. So if I highlight these two, and go over, now they're going to be even. And you can do the same thing with the other ones. They happen to be a little uneven before, so you might have to get rid of the formatting first to make sure that they are even with the other ones. But there you go, now it's all lined up. Section 1 is lined up, section 2 is lined up, and then the subsections are lined up just by using your format options. If you want to open up your full format options box, you can click on that, and now you have a ton of different options that you can do. We looked through this before. Text fitting, you can do your indentation, you can set your margins, you can set padding, etc. What else do we have? If we wanted to remove the text formatting, I don't necessarily want to do this, but I'll show you how to do it, and then I'll undo. If I wanted to take out all the text formatting, I wanted nothing, I would go to my more, and I would do where it says like the line diagonally through the T. That's going to get rid of all of my formatting. So now it is still hyperlinked. So when I click on it, it's going to let me see where I could go based on the links that are there. But it took away that purple formatting. It added the underlines. I don't really want that. But if you wanted to get rid of the formatting because you didn't like what was going on with it because you copied and pasted for somewhere else, you could do that. I'm going to keep it standard with the rest of what I had here. Okay. The next thing we can do is our image options. We can crop an image, reset an image to its original format, and replace an image. So I'll look through that. I'm going to go here because we actually have an image here. So I can crop my image, which I did earlier. I want it to be in a shape. I want it, instead of being in this regular rectangle, I want it to be in a slightly rounded. You could see that it kind of rounded my corners. It cut off a little bit of my G and my S. That's not necessarily what I intended it to do. So maybe I need to hit undo. If I want to just crop it regular, I can crop it in a square. I can stretch it out, whatever I want to do with that. Now, if I want to reset my image, I could do that. It'll go back to what it was originally last time I saved it. If I want to replace the image, maybe I didn't like how that one was. I can upload from my computer. I have another Google Slides one in here. Somewhere I have it. I might have went into the wrong file for it. Oh, there we go. So now that one looks a little different. It laid it back into the same box where I was. So you can see here, I had it cropped previously. I can uncrop that to where I want it to be by double clicking, and now I just drag it to where I want. Say I want to make this a little skinnier. Oops. I didn't drag. So you can see there's a little blue box. That's going to shrink the whole box. The little dark black short line, that is going to crop it. So now I have that cropped. I'm good. I'm happy with it. Now I can highlight the whole thing and center it. And now I can make my basics come up. I can make this a bigger font. I can center this. If I want to continue to make this bigger, I can still do it. I just highlight the whole thing and keep going. So you can replace your photos just as easy, or your images that you put in there. Instead of having it be a square, now it's a rectangle. We did all that. So now creating and arranging slides. So I showed you how to add a slide. I'll show you how to move a slide, delete a slide, and duplicate a slide. So this was my first one. If I decided that I wanted to put in a new slide that explained to you what Google Slides does, I could add a slide right here. It's going to come here. Now, if I have content elsewhere, something somewhere. There we go. So there, right here, this tells us a little bit about what Google Slides does. What is Google Slides? So now I'm going to go back to where I was. I'm going to click in here. I don't need my format options just yet. I'm just taking this, I'm formatting it the way that I want. I want it to be centered. I want to put this centered on the page, move it up. Now I want to take this. So this is a pretty wordy slide, but it is sometimes you need to do that on a slide. I wouldn't suggest doing it too often, but I do want to show you what like the justified would look like. So that's why I chose something that is pretty wordy. You go to justified, now all those ends are lined up and it looks like a nice box. So I added that slide in. Again, all I did was I went after, like I clicked on the one that I wanted to add the slide after. I would just hit my plus and that adds a new slide. Now, if I want to duplicate that slide because I want to use the one that I just made to continue that, I just am going to right click, this menu will come up and it'll allow me to duplicate my slide. Now, if I didn't want to do it that way, I could go to edit instead of right click and I could go to duplicate or I could hit Control D. Now, oh, whoops, I added too many. Now I want to delete a slide. So I can either right click and go to delete, or I could physically hit the delete button on my computer and now I have it gone, but I have 3 of them and I don't need to edit this one again. So I'm also going to go to edit and I can go to delete. So now we have added a new slide. We've pasted some content into it. We have duplicated it. What else did we need to do? And we deleted one. And I'll show you how to move them. So say you wanted you wanted a blank slide in between topics of discussion and agenda. You just click on the one that you want and you drag it up and the little orange yellow line will show you where it's going to end up. So that is how you can reorder your slides that you have. Anybody have any questions of that so far? because right now we are through 2.4 and we've done all of the things on agenda in 2.4, and we're going to go on to number 3 on our agenda. So now we're going to get to sharing and collaborating. Anybody have questions so far? No? Okay. So when we want to share and collaborate, simply what we're going to do is go up here. You'll see a little yellow box. It will say share. Right now, it's saying that it's private only to me. Now, if I wanted to share this with somebody else, I just click on that box and it's going to populate this. So now anybody that I want to send it to, I can either type in their email address. If you type in an email address that is not a Gmail, the person is going to be told that they need to sign up for Gmail to have all the functions of the Google Slides and editing. If they don't have it, they'll still be able to do some things, but it'll be a little more difficult to get all the features. Or what you can do is copy a link and say, I want to paste that in here. But before I do that, because I actually want to keep this one, I'm going to save a copy. So I'm going to make a copy of the entire presentation, and I'm going to say collaboration. Google Slides Basics, collaboration. So now I know that I'm going to save this. If I didn't want my speaker notes in there, I could take them out. If I do want them, I can leave it in. If there were comments on this, I could copy the comments over. But I'm just going to hit OK, and I'm going to create this. Now it's going to open this new one that I just copied and called Google Slides Basics Collaboration, and it's going to allow me to share it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the link, and anybody that has this link now will be able to work on this with me and play around with it. So I'm going to copy my link. Right now it's restricted only to people added can open the link. But I want anyone with the link to be able to use this, because I'm going to post the link right in our little group chat, and then you could go in and you could view it. If I wanted you to be able to edit, I could let you be a commenter or an editor. So you could say, oh, I really like this slide. Could you just do an extra demo of this step? Or can you add in a screenshot of exactly how you do that? Because I missed it when you showed it. That would help me make it a better presentation for you. Or if we were working together and you were going to be doing this presentation in the future, I can make you an editor and we could do it together. So for right now, I'm just going to do a viewer. I'm going to copy my link. I'm going to paste it into our chat. I'm going to send it to you. So now anyone can click on that link and you'll be able to pull up the presentation, that a copy of the presentation that I just worked on today while we were together. And you can see that it's shared here, and anyone with the link can access it, and there's no sign-in required, which means that you can look at it, but you can't make changes, but you don't have to sign in using your Gmail account. So I'm gonna go back to my original that we were working on. If I wanted to unshare a presentation, I could also do that. So if I go here and I say, you know what, I don't really want to do that. I'm going to change this. I'm going to, settings are disabled for public links. So this is a public link. If I don't want this to be anyone with a link, if I want it to be restricted again, only people added can open this link. I can do done. So now if you go in here and you click this, you're not going to be able to see it anymore. So I'm going to go back and let you see it, but you can take people off the link. If I added in, say, my other email address, I'm going to add Maria, who's, the founder of ECNY. I'm going to put it on there. I'm going to add her. I'm going to send her Google Slides Basics Collaboration. I'm going to share it. She's an editor. It's thinking about it, because that's what it does. It didn't want to add her. I selected someone not with Gmail, so it didn't like that one. So I'll just add my other email. Okay, so I'm gonna send this to myself and my other account, but I added myself, but whoops, that wasn't the person I wanted. I'm gonna take that away. I'm gonna get rid of it. I'm gonna click where it says editor. So say I didn't want to access this through my account, I could make that account the owner, or I could remove. So I'm gonna remove access. That's how you delete it if you accidentally sent it to the wrong person. I'm gonna change this back to anyone with the link can get it. And I think that's the same one. If it's not, I'm just gonna repaste it in here just in case. And it is there. I think it is the same, it looks the same to me. Okay, so that's adding collaborators and getting rid of collaborators. Track sheets and share files. Add comments and replies. So we can do that. If we wanted to add the comments, again, this is how you add the comment. You hit the little like chat box with the plus in it. So if I say, I don't like this logo, please change back to on in box. I can, if I could spell it, it'd be good too. Okay, so now that's my comments. So if I shared this with you and you are a collaborator and you have the ability to edit, then you would be able to go in and do it. So I could reply to myself and say, done, or I could say, no, I like it the way it is. So you can have a conversation right in the comments when you're collaborating. Now, if I don't like what I wrote, I can edit it and get rid of it, or I can delete it. I can delete the entire thread. Can link to the comments if there was something that I wanted specifically. So say I wanted to add, if I wanted to change this, instead of saying change this logo, I can say choose an image from here. Now I can go back to like my Pixabay and I can just go back to bird. And I have this, so I can go copy that. I can go back into my Google Slides. Just here, I can do my link to this comment. I can put that. No. Sorry, I did that wrong. So here, we would put our image, like the image here that we wanted. We could save it. Now, if I want to email you and say, hey, this is an important thing to take care of, I would highlight this, I would copy it, and then I could go directly into my email and I could write an email saying, here, please take care of this comment on this presentation we're working on. I would just start a new email. Close. I have a lot of windows open, it's a little slow. I'm just reading a comment from Laura. I will do it again. I don't know that the YouTubes are up yet, but I was told that they should be up shortly. I do think that our wonderful IT person did do it. So if I wanted to just post that comment in, the person will be able to do it. So now I got this email. The subject is, please take care of this comment. I can go here. Now I'm going to click on here. It embedded it. If you saw that, my presentation is right here. It's telling me exactly what it is. All right. So I will, Eileen, I'm going to put my email in here. Anybody that is missing an email from me, let me know what it is that you're waiting for, and I will make sure that between now and Wednesday night that I get you whatever you were promised that you did not receive. I feel horrible if anybody did not get it. That is my email address. Okay. So that's that. So you can see that the collaboration basics is right there in that link in the email. And when I clicked on it, it opened it up directly to the comment. Choose an image from here. Now I can click on that. It takes me right to that search page that I wanted. So this is a great way. So if you're trying to give directions to somebody to make sure that they're doing the right thing and going to the place where you want it from, but you want them to have a little autonomy of what they can do, it's a great way to go back and forth with it. I'm gonna get out of these for right now because I don't need that many windows open, but I'm done here. Next one is, we did comments and replies, suggest edits. That was for docs. We're not doing docs right now. And we can chat with people directly in docs, sheets, or slide. So if we are collaborating within the documents, I don't have anybody viewing this right now. But if I go in, I'm going to try one more time and show you how to do it. So now I'm going to, I can do my sharing instructions here. If I was putting restrictions on and typing everybody's email address individually in here and giving you access to be able to edit, I would be able to choose if you can change permissions and share. So say you had a friend that you wanted to invite in to work on this. If I check that box, that allows you to invite someone else to do it, not just leaving it to me to choose their email address and add them. And then here, viewers and commenters can see the option to download, print, and copy. If this happens to be proprietary information that you could not find on the internet right through like the Google training website, I can click this off so you're not able to download, print, or copy it. You could view it, but that's it. You wouldn't be able to like make it your own and edit it. Right now, I don't need to do that because I'm basically going to just copy the link and let everybody do it, which is what I have up here for you to do it. But what I want to do is change it from being a viewer to being editors. So now, if someone could please click on the link that's up here in our comments that we have. I'm just going to copy it one more time and paste it down here in our chat. If someone wants to click on that and sign in to this, I'd like to show you some of the features when you're actually collaborating. And I have an anonymous armadillo up here who is viewing with me. So now I can talk to my anonymous armadillo by clicking here for my comment history. I can chat. It's not letting me chat, of course. I want to add a comment. So now I'm commenting to that person to please make an edit. So if you are the anonymous armadillo, can you please change something on our slide so we can see what is going on when we are editing together? Does anybody know who, or if they are the anonymous armadillo? You can talk, you can type. So I guess while I'm waiting for someone to do something in here and edit it along with me, I'm gonna go back to the share link. And if I wanted to add a specific person, I can type in their Gmail address. If I have this button that says notify, it'll get an email saying that they were added to do this. I can put in an image, please help me edit this presentation. And now it's gonna keep that Google Slides basic collaboration in there. I've made the person an editor. I can send it. So now that person got an email saying that they are now able to go in here and do it. If I wanna take away that access, I can go back here and instead, or if I don't want them to be an editor, I can make them a commenter or a viewer, or I can make them an owner and say, okay, now it's all you. I'm not gonna be the owner anymore. I created the basics, but now you can change it and make it your own, or I can completely remove them there. Now, if I want anyone in the link to do it, I can keep it that way. If I wanna change it to restricted only, so only the people that I typed in their individual email addresses would be able to do it, I could do that. Now, if I wanna change it back, I can change it to anyone with the link. I can also change it from viewer to commenter or editor, and then I can hit done. So my permission has been updated. So I hope that answered the question about to redo that. Did that help with the part that you were asking about to redo that again? Okay, I have not seen another comment. So I see I have some people still here. So I've unshared, we've added comments and replied. I don't have anybody chatting with me directly on here right now, but if that was an option, this would allow me to chat back and forth with a person who is editing with me. This little box here, there would be a chat ability if somebody was active. I'm gonna go back to the top. To print and download files, I did show this a little earlier, and I'm happy to do it again. If we want to print our file, we're just gonna go to print. We could click this little button here. It's gonna generate a preview. Sorry, I feel like I'm talking a lot and losing my voice. So we have this. It's gonna show us what our slides look like, how we have them, what order, what we have going on in there. And we can choose which printer we want. I have save as PDF. I could also save it to Google Drive. I could go to one of my printers. This is my office printer. This is my home printer. I can see more printers in range if I wanted. There's a lot going on. I could switch which email address I have if I have multiple ones hooked up. I can manage, add them, whatever. But either way, you can print all of your pages. You can print your custom pages. So maybe I just want to send somebody or have printed copies of pages 1 through 3. I could do that. I could say that I want, 2 pages per sheet. It'll come out printed like that if I wanted presentation view. Whatever it is, like however I want it. Like you could do this in Microsoft PowerPoint. You can get all your pages on one slide if you just need a quick overview. Whatever it is, there are a lot of options for your printing that you wanted. And again, I'm just going to do mine in PDF. I would hit save, I would send the file name, etc. Or you could print to your printer and it'll come right out. If you just wanted to save as, you can go to download. Now, if I wanted to be able to open this in PowerPoint, which it's completely possible to do, you go to download, you go to Microsoft PowerPoint, and now if you remember in the very beginning, the one that we imported was a .pptx, and then we converted it to a Google Slides format. So we are going to make it back to a Microsoft PowerPoint. So you can see down here, it downloaded, and now I can open this, and it's opening it in my PowerPoint program. And we'll see the presentation that we just created in Google Slides right in here. if I make this bigger, so and say your office, you have it, you don't have it at home, you could do it in Google Slides and then put it back to that. You might have to adjust some of the formatting, or you might have to change the layout slightly, but all of your text, all of your pictures that you put in will be here. And it's completely customizable the same way that it would be as if you had created it in PowerPoint. And go back to that. What else do we want to do? Let's see, we printed our file, we downloaded it. These are the different download versions that you can do. We did slides, you could save it as a text file, an ODP, which is a readable file, JPEG, PNG. If you wanted it as a picture, you could save just one slide as a picture. You could save it as a PDF, so that way you could do it. If it was a really good graphic, you could do it as a scalable vector graphic. Some people do this when they're putting something onto like a Cricut machine to make t-shirts. Yes, you can have 4 pages per sheet. I've never seen a candy stripe border in here, but you can add on things. That would be a more intermediate or advanced. There is a way to add like graphic types of things, and you do that through animations. So if I want to fade in, fly out, disappear, fly from the top, I can make it spin, things like that during the only borders that we have, I know this was a question last week, and we have over here, we can put, these are the only borders that we have. We have solid, we have dots, we have dashes, and we have Morse code, a little slightly different Morse code, we have dashes, but they're not like super fancy borders. But you can add an image and then animate the image and just layer the different text and border and fonts around each other. And I could teach that in a different type of class, but this is really just the basics. I don't actually need a border right now, so I'm gonna get rid of my border and make it transparent. Oh, the color for border here is one of the templates that I chose. So there are a lot of different templates. So I'm guessing the person asking this was not here for the very beginning, but if we get rid of this part, we can go to our theme. You can see here I chose different options. This happens to be the theme that I chose, which is shift. And when I went and I chose my different layouts, I was able to choose what it looked like around it. There are different border options, the way that it's set up. The templates were in the very beginning, and then when you're in it, when you're not clicked on anything, you'll be able to choose your theme and then your layout of your actual slide that you're looking. I picked this layout, which is called Shift, for this particular presentation. Shift. So I lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. All right, so I showed you how to make a copy, and I'll show you how to do it as an attachment in a second. So if I am here, I'm gonna click out of my themes. I just wanna get back to where I was. Here, if I wanna make a copy, I go to my file and make a copy. I can make an entire presentation, or I can select specific slides. Like I have a couple that are still blank. So if I wanted to just select some of them, I could hit Control and then just click on the ones that have content in them. And now I can go to File, make a copy, selected slides, and now I can do copy of Google Slides Basics. I can share it with the same people that it was. I can remove all speaker notes, or I can leave it that way, and I can hit OK. And now I have another copy of it. You can save your template into your drive, and then there is a way, once you have a format that you like, you can basically make all of your other presentations like based off of that format. So once you have a completed presentation that you love, you can use that as a template going forward if you like the way that you've laid it out. It can be useful. You can certainly save it into your drive. All of these things are automatically getting saved into my drive. So if I go into my drive, you can see here, I have the copies of the different ones that I've done. So I have to wait for it to update a little. This is my original Google Slides Basics. This was my collaboration one that I shared. And this is the copy that I just made of just the selected slides that were populated. What was the next thing we were doing? Email copy as an attachment. So say I wanted to send this as an attachment, I could do that. I just go, I go to File, I go down to the second section under the gray line, and I do Email as an attachment. And now I can click off that I want to send myself a copy, and then I can also send it to a specific person that I have in my list, or I could just type in an email address. It automatically populates the title as my subject. I can write the message, and then I can select if I want it sent as a PDF, if I want it as a PowerPoint, or if I want it as a plain text. Generally, you will send it as a PDF. That just happens to be the default, and it's not editable there. If you want the person to be able to edit it, you will share it. It does automatically populate your title into the subject when you're sending it as an email. Yes, I made copies based on my own action. The file copy the selected slide. So if I wanted to send this, I would just populate all this information appropriately and I would hit send, and that would be it. I don't need to send this to anybody as an attachment right now, so I'm just gonna hit cancel. But if I wanted to copy, I would just go File, Make a Copy. I could either choose the entire presentation or the selected slides, and it would then add, it would open it in a new tab, and then it would also add it to my drive. I've already made 2 copies, so I'm not going to keep copying it, but it is pretty simple to make a copy. If you want different versions of it saved as different things, you can do that. But if you wanted to look at your version history, you click on where it says the last edit, and you can see back at 7:05, I can restore it to this version, and you can see it had different boxes, it had a whole lot of different things going on. If you wanted to see what it looked like earlier today, I can click on that. I can click on what it looked like even earlier. It was a blank presentation. So you can see all the versions. You can restore it. You can restore only named versions. You can see that all the edits are highlighted with these little green boxes to let you know what was changed. I don't need to be in my version history anymore, so I'm just going to go back. And now I have my basic presentation. So when you go to send the email as an attachment, whichever version you are currently open to with the last save version, that when you go to File, Email as Attachment, what it's populating there and attaching is the one that you were just in. If you're working on 2 sets of different original slides, you would do it from each of those different windows that you had open, the different slides, or Google Slides presentations that you were working on. Which one, or how do you tell it to populate each title? If they, you would just save them slightly differently. So like this one is Google Slides Basics. This one is Copy of Google Slides Basics. And then this one is Google Slides Basics Collaboration. That's just how I know what the different versions are. When you're working and you make copies, you should change the name slightly so you know which one you're working on. How do I do copy selected slide? Okay, so to do a copy selected slide. So for instance, if I'm in this collaboration one and I want to send it to someone as an email attachment, we're still working on populating these slides, but somebody really needed the other information, I can go to make a copy. I'm not sure why it's, so because there's somebody editing in this one. I have to go to the other one. When somebody is editing, it doesn't always let you get all of the functionality. So I have my Google Slides Basics up here. This is the original one. It has a couple blanks. I want to only send an attachment that has the populated slides. I would go to File. I would go to Make a Copy. I would go to Selected Slides. But what I have to do first is actually select the slides. So if I want slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, slide 5, oops, and slide 6, I'm just going to click on the ones that I want while holding down the CTRL button, or if you're on a Mac, it would be that little 4-leaf clover looking button. So now that I have the ones that I want to send highlighted, I go to File, Make a Copy, Selected Slides. Now I can do this, Google Slides Basics, presentation as of 7/20/20, 9:21 p.m. So this lets me know exactly what it is. And the reason I would do this is if somebody needed the information right now, they need to know exactly what the presentation looked like at this second. But I didn't want to show them where I was putting in placeholders to add extra content. I would just not include the slides that they wanted. You could rename it to whatever you wanted. You could call it 135, etc. Absolutely, you can name it whatever you want. So if I hit OK, now it's going to open it in a new window, and then I will have another version of this particular presentation. And if I go into my drive, I will see that it will shortly populate just another copy of that. Technology is a little slow. It's getting tired, like the rest of us, I'm sure. It'll show us, so now instead of having 3 there, now I have 4. So we finished with that section. So now if we want it, I don't think we really need to go too much into starting a video meeting, but if we wanted to all meet on how to do this, we would be able to start or join video meetings to be able to work on it collaboratively at the same time. We could open our Google Calendar and events in our Google Keep, open our to-do list or Google Tasks, and to get our add-ons. But just because we're starting to run out of time, and these are features that you might not need to use, I just want to show you how you would give a presentation with the slides. I'm just going to skip that for a second and go to present your slides. So when you're ready to preview or present your slides, you're going to click on the little play button and present at the top of the page. To see your speaker notes, you'll do the down arrow and then do your presenter view. And when you move your mouse, your slideshow bar temporarily appears for controls. If you go to this website, you will see the shortcut menu, all the different things, but I'm going to actually go to the presentation. We're going to go to our present view. Do our view. So it's File, Edit, View. We're going to go to Present here, or we can just go to Present here. If you want your notes, which we don't have a lot in here, you would go to this drop down, and we can do Presenter View. We want it to present from the beginning, so we're going to do Presenter View. Okay, so now I have this. If I wanted to go, I can pause. I can go to my previous to go all the way back to the front. Now I can resume if I wanted. If I wanted to go to a specific slide, I could do that. So we have these. I don't really have any speaker notes. Audience tools. You can start new audience tools. You can ask them if they want to type in questions, and they can do that. And then we can go through, and you would have the questions recorded on the actual slide. We can click through. I'm just going to show you without the notes because we don't really have notes in here. I'm just going to get out of this. So you can see on here when you're viewing your slide, it says ask a question at slides.app.goo.gl/C1 Y key Z. If somebody writes something in there, it'll come up on my presentation view. I can click through my slides. That was the blank one. I clicked on a link. It's going to take me exactly where I want to go. I can continue to click here. If I wanted to watch that video, I just click on play. I'll start playing my video of glass blowing. You can click through. And again, we have our blank and our presentation will be done. If we want to get back, we can go back to the other ones. We can go all the way back to our slides if you'd like. So if we are in our Google presentation, I think the actual doing the presentation, we're doing that, we can, if your file is missing, if you go all the way to the right, because somebody's editing it, there's this little arrow down at the top right side. You can click that and your menu will come back. I hope that answered the question. So you can get rid of it by doing that, and you can bring it back by doing that. So you have it. Control Shift F, yes, that will bring it back and forth. Thank you, Lenora. I think I may have missed something that you said, but you can get it to come back by doing that. Either this way or Control Shift F. Okay, so if you wanted to add things to your calendar, which I skipped this section, but I know that we have a couple minutes left. If you click on your calendar, I did talk about this in Docs last week. So if anybody feels like this is a repeat, you know, feel free to kind of skip over this. But if you wanted to edit this and add it in, this happens to be one of my work calendars. I could add this in on my calendar. If I had an event on my calendar that I wanted to know when I was, so say I had a calendar and I wanted to know when I'm doing Google Slides, I could go in and I can say, oh, at 6 p.m., Google Slides basics presentation as of tonight. Like this is the one that I'm doing at this time. I can add my location. I can add my Google Meet video conference. If we weren't doing this on Zoom, this might be the way that I was doing it. I can put it on my calendar. I could drop down, see whose calendar I want it on. I can choose the color of the event if I'm color coding. So like if Port Washington was purple, then I would choose purple. Honestly, I would probably choose orange for Port Washington because that's one of the pretty colors in their logo. I can say that I'm busy during this time. I can give myself a reminder 30 minutes before. I can add a notification if I want. I can add guests if I wanted to invite specific people to make sure that they were registering. If I wanted to put in Zoom as a location, I could add it right here as a location and give you the login and the password. So there are a lot of different things, and then my presentation could be linked right through here, and if I'm saving it on my calendar, you can now see that this is on my calendar. And when I opened it up, it tells me all of the information that I need to know. If I want to edit it, I hit my little pencil. I can do anything else that I need to do and hit send again or save again. If I wanted to delete it, I could delete it right from here. And it's that simple to put things on your calendar from when you're in this presentation. And it will link directly to this presentation if you add it to the calendar when you have the presentation open. Now, again, you could use Google Keep, which is an app that I use all the time. You can see I had a little note about Google Docs, check out these edits. I have my phone open a lot of times in my Google Notes. I'm gonna pull it up. I'll try to put it on my computer screen so you can kind of see it. I'll look to see if it comes up. So I'm gonna take a note. It's my Google Slides. I'm gonna put in okay, so I'm being done. Now I'm gonna look in my correct email. Okay, so can everybody see on, it's a little hard to see, but can you see that it says like Google Docs and Google Slides, even though it's a little backwards? I'm getting notifications too on my phone. So now if I click my Google Slides on my phone in my Keep app, I now have the link to that presentation that I just saved. So I don't need to go into my drive. I don't need to go into anything. I can literally just click on this. I can view it right on my phone through my Notes app, and I have my whole presentation. Obviously, it looks like we're dyslexic a little bit because it's backwards, just showing it through the camera that way. But I now have that whole presentation on my phone. I can play it for someone. So say I was with somebody and I wanted to just do a quick view and say, hey, do you think this is good? Do you like how this looks? They could just give me verbal feedback right in person. If I wanted to add somebody to collaborate on it, if I wanted to share with them, I could do it all right through my Google Keep Notes. Now, if I wanted to have a checklist of tasks to do, like add content, add 3 more slides, I would go to my tasks. I could add a task. This is like a to-do list for everything. So if I wanted to say, create presentations for Google Sheets next, I can make a whole list for that. Make sure to include how to add in charts, how to link text, how to create queries, all those different things. I could put that on my tasks list, and the same thing, I could access this from any of the different Google apps. So, Lenora, I'm going to answer your questions in a second. I just want to see, is there anybody else that has questions about anything that we went over tonight? I think we basically went through everything that was on the agenda. Anything that's not on that agenda will have to be put into another class that I'm teaching that's an intermediate or a more advanced class that I'm happy to teach. Denise and I and Maria Fry are all working on programming for the fall. So we're going to have a couple classes in October. We have a few more coming up.